Tired of the negativity? Looking for a shot of optimism? Well, I have an inspiring story to make you smile right after this. This episode of Misfits and Crackpots is brought to you by Well-Crafted Story. Is your team struggling to communicate your company's value and convert prospects into clients? Well-Crafted Story specializes in corporate storytelling for businesses around the world. Coach Jimmy Hayes Nelson, yours truly, Dr. Danny Brissell, and our expert team will fly to your location to work directly with your people, teaching them how to craft and deliver your company's story in a way that truly resonates and converts. Whether you're preparing for investor pitches, sales presentations, or client meetings, we'll transform how your entire team communicates your mission, vision, and value proposition. Don't let another quarter pass with missed opportunities. Get your free story blueprint today at freestoryguide.com and discover how the right story can become your company's most powerful business tool. That's guide like a tour guide. Your company's success story starts here. Visit freestoryguide.com now. You're just a well-crafted story away from 7 figures. Hello there, my friend, and welcome to Misfits and Crackpots, short, inspiring stories for busy people. I'm Dr. Danny Brissell. This is a podcast for those interested in extraordinary stories about ordinary people and companies. Consider it your dose of positivity and inspiration for the week. Vincent van Gogh said, "There is nothing more truly artistic than to love people." This week's success strategy: love. He spent most of his life working in a kitchen and repairing sandals. This simple statement might have summarized the life of an ordinary man, one who lived in relative anonymity, performing menial tasks with little recognition or fanfare. Yet this man's life was far from ordinary. His death at the age of 77 occurred in relative obscurity, unnoticed by the broader world. There were no grand ceremonies to mark his passing. No tributes were written in his honor. He was, after all, just a humble monk. But over time, the world came to realize that Nicholas Herman was no ordinary man, and his legacy would far outlast his years on earth. No one could have imagined how such a poor, unassuming man could become so famous. Nicholas Herman was born in 1614 in the region of Lorraine in eastern France, a place known for its rich history and deep-rooted Catholic faith. His early years were marked by hardship and deprivation. The son of peasants, Nicholas grew up with little formal education, as his family could not afford to send him to school. Instead, he was taught the ways of the world through the daily grind of farm work and the struggles of poverty. The harshness of life in rural France during the early 17th century left a deep impression on Nicholas, shaping his character and instilling in him a profound sense of humility and resilience. The Herman family's poverty forced Nicholas into military service at a young age, a common fate for many peasant boys of his time. After all, the military offered a guaranteed meal, a small stipend, and a sense of purpose for those who had few other options. The French army provided Nicholas with his first taste of life beyond the confines of his village, exposing him to the broader realities of the world. However, it also exposed him to the horrors of war. The brutality of battle, the loss of comrades, and the ever-present fear of death scarred Nicholas both emotionally and physically. One particular wound left him permanently lame, a constant reminder of the suffering he had endured. Yet, it was during this tumultuous period that Nicholas discovered his true calling. One cold winter day, as he trudged through the snow on a barren battlefield, he stopped to gaze at a leafless tree. The tree, stripped of its foliage and standing alone in the desolate landscape, seemed a fitting symbol of the emptiness and despair that Nicholas felt in his own heart. But as he stared at the tree, a profound realization dawned upon him. He understood that the tree, though seemingly dead, would bloom again in the spring, bursting forth with leaves and fruit. This simple observation sparked an epiphany within Nicholas, one that would change the course of his life. He realized that, like the tree, he too was not truly dead. Though he felt empty and desolate, he believed that God would renew his soul and provide him with abundance. This moment of insight, born out of the starkness of winter, ignited within Nicholas a deep and abiding love for God. It was a love that would never leave him, guiding him through the remainder of his life and shaping his spiritual journey. Upon returning from the war, Nicholas sought to follow this newfound sense of purpose. He longed for a life of service and contemplation, a life dedicated to God. In 1640, at the age of 26, he entered the Discalced Carmelite Monastery in Paris, a community known for its strict adherence to poverty and simplicity. Upon entering the monastery, Nicholas took the name Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection, symbolizing his rebirth into a life dedicated to God's service. Brother Lawrence was assigned some of the lowliest tasks within the monastery, working in the kitchen, cleaning and repairing sandals. To some, these tasks might have seemed demeaning or insignificant, but Brother Lawrence viewed them in a different light. He saw every act, no matter how mundane or routine, as an opportunity to express his love for God. Each moment was an occasion to practice the presence of God, to live in constant awareness of his divine presence. This practice became the cornerstone of Brother Lawrence's spiritual life, a discipline that brought him profound peace and joy. As Brother Lawrence went about his daily duties, others in the monastery began to take notice of his extraordinary character. Despite the harshness of his work and the simplicity of his life, Brother Lawrence exuded a deep sense of tranquility and contentment. He seemed to carry within him a wellspring of inner peace, a peace that was evident to all who encountered him. Drawn by the depth of his wisdom and the authenticity of his faith, his fellow monks, and eventually others outside the monastery, began to seek spiritual guidance from him. One notable cleric who sought Brother Lawrence's counsel was Father Abbé Joseph de Beaufort. Father de Beaufort, a man of considerable learning and influence, was struck by the simplicity and clarity of Brother Lawrence's teachings. In his conversations with Brother Lawrence, Father de Beaufort found a man who was open, a listening confidence, letting you feel you could tell him anything. Once you got past the rough exterior, you discovered unusual wisdom. It was this wisdom, born out of a life of humble service, that Father de Beaufort sought to share with the wider world. Upon Brother Lawrence's death in 1691, Father de Beaufort took it upon himself to compile the monks' teachings and letters into a book. This book, titled The Practice of the Presence of God, was a collection of Brother Lawrence's thoughts on living a life in constant communion with God. The little book, simple in its language yet profound in its insights, soon gained widespread acclaim. It was approved by the Archbishop of Paris, who declared that Brother Lawrence forgot himself and was willing to lose himself to God, that he no longer thought of virtue or his salvation, that he had always governed himself by love without interest. The publication of the book marked the beginning of Brother Lawrence's posthumous fame. What had once been the life of a poor, humble monk, known only to a small circle of friends and fellow monks, became a source of inspiration for countless others. The book's message resonated with people from all walks of life, offering a path to spiritual fulfillment that was accessible to everyone, regardless of their circumstances. 17th century France was a time of great intellectual and cultural achievement. It was an age that produced many brilliant figures who left their mark on history. King Louis XIV, the Sun King, reigned for over 72 years, becoming the longest-serving monarch in European history at the time. His court at Versailles was a center of art, literature, and politics that influenced all of Europe. In the realm of science and mathematics, figures like Blaise Pascal made groundbreaking contributions. Pascal's work in mathematics, physics, and probability theory continue to influence these fields to this day. The world of literature saw the emergence of writers like Voltaire and Molière, whose works would become classics of French literature. Philosophers such as Montesquieu and René Descartes reshaped the way people thought about society, politics, and the nature of existence itself. Amidst this backdrop of grandeur and brilliance, one might think that the life of a simple monk would be easily overlooked. Yet, the message of Brother Lawrence transcended the political and scientific accomplishments of his time. While others were busy building empires and exploring the boundaries of human knowledge, Brother Lawrence was quietly teaching a lesson that would endure for centuries. Joy is found in service to others. In a world often driven by self-interest and the pursuit of personal glory, Brother Lawrence demonstrated the peace and fulfillment that come from selfless service. The enduring appeal of his teachings lies in their simplicity. He showed that true spirituality is not about grand gestures or lofty thoughts. The most profound spiritual experiences can be found in the ordinary moments of life. Whether driving the kids to school, taking out the garbage, or inviting a lonely person to lunch, every act can be an expression of love and devotion. It is this message that has resonated with so many, offering a path to inner peace that is within reach of all through love of God and neighbor. Love thy neighbor. This simple commandment, embodied in the life of Brother Lawrence, has the power to transform lives. It is a call to live not for ourselves, but for others, to see every person as a reflection of God's love. Brother Lawrence showed that true love for one's neighbor is not just about grand acts of charity, but about treating everyone with respect and kindness in our daily interactions. In a world filled with division and strife, it is perhaps this simplicity and universality of Brother Lawrence's message that has allowed it to endure for centuries. While the political systems of Louis XIV have long since crumbled, and many of the scientific theories of his contemporaries have been superseded, the wisdom of this humble monk continues to inspire and guide people around the world. His story reminds us that sometimes the most profound truths come from the most unexpected sources. A man who spent most of his life working in a kitchen and performing humble tasks has left a legacy that continues to touch hearts and change lives centuries after his death. Brother Lawrence's life demonstrates that greatness is not measured by worldly success or recognition, but by the impact we have on others and the love we show in our daily lives. It teaches us that every task, no matter how mundane, can be an act of worship when done with love and devotion. Joy is found in service to others. See, friend, inspiration is all around us. You just have to look for it. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another inspiring story about misfits and crackpots. Misfits and Crackpots is a production of Success Media, produced by Terrence Wishner. Sound effects by Alessandro Lucati, courtesy of Pixabay. Thank you for tuning in. If you love today's story, there's so much more to explore in the book Misfits and Crackpots by yours truly, Dr. Danny Brissell. Grab your copy now on Amazon and dive deeper into the extraordinary lives of those who dared to change the world. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with fellow misfits who love inspiring stories. See you next time.